What's good, men and women of YouTube? This is El Jefe bringing you my first Alchemy deck since the new Neon Dynasty set was released, and making it a little bit for my buddy Arjuna, one of my favorite content creators and one of the co-hosts of the Arena Craft podcast, which I highly encourage people to check out if they are looking to better understand the meta, see what decks are floating around, and really just get great commentary on a game we all love. So definitely check out Arena Craft podcast. And he had been a little bit soured on his taste of Alchemy, and I totally get that, right? There's problems with his economy. 90% of the cards they're releasing are rare and mythic, so I understand there's reason to be upset about it, but I wanted to take a stab at making a ramp deck that he would enjoy, or that, fits that style, which is not usually mine, but there's nothing wrong with getting a bunch of mana out and playing big shit. So Arjuna, this is my formal Knights of Arjuna application, and I hope you enjoy it, buddy. Now, I will concede that I am not a pro Simic mage, so I am quite confident that this deck is not perfectly optimized, but I think after trying pure Simic, I'm pretty confident that Sultai is a better direction to take it. So I think maybe this can just be a decent foundation, and I would love to see what a polished version from an established Simic mage looks like. So this current version took me from like 99% to 675 last night. So again, I think there's a decent foundation here for someone to polish up. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about a couple of the new cards that are in here. It's not really a ton of them, to be honest. I think there was definitely there was a lot of good cards printed in the first Alchemy release. And this one, to be honest, I think is 80 to 90% garbage. I have seen some cool things that, like some of the, honestly, the uncommons to me are more impressive than most of the mythics and rares, so I certainly wouldn't go out and craft many of them. And as CGB said, there's about to be a economy of the game, or the platform, release soon, so there's no reason to go spend a bunch of money. But the first card I wanted to share with you guys is Kami of the Bamboo Groves, which is a pretty strong ramp option at one cost. And what it's doing is when it enters the battlefield, you can put a land card from your hand into the battlefield tapped, and it has a second mode which you can channel it, so you discard it out of your hand, and you conjure 2 forests into your hands. Now, I will say, unfortunately, the forests that get conjured are absolutely disgusting, so it does not match the the style that you have equipped, unfortunately. So WotC definitely, I think, should implement that when they're doing small little updates in the future, but I digress. And that's really from the new stuff, the only thing that made the cut into here. There are a couple other Alchemy cards. Grizzled Huntmaster, which I think is actually a pretty strong card in general, and I think for ramp is definitely a nice flexible spell that can let you dig into your sideboard and pull out a good answer for what the board state is needing you to address it with. So when Grizzled Huntmaster enters the battlefield, exile a creature card from your hand. If you do search you can exile from your hand or library any of the other cards with the same name as that. So when we're looking at a bunch of small creatures like Tangled Florahedron, Kami of Bamboo Groves, right? These are not the late game drops that we're going to want far more often than not. So it gives us an outlet to pitch them from our hands and actually thin our deck a little bit. And it lets us go into a sideboard, which we could theoretically fill with 7 creatures, but, and again, it's just best of 1. We do have a few divide by zeros, so we're running a very minimal learn board, but, frankly, for ramp, you really only need 3 anyway. It would just be additional copies of these 3 most likely. But the 4 creatures we're running and the other new Alchemy card that's in here, I only crafted 2 of these, and I had tried it around before this. I had made a Simic deck that went like 6 and 9, so that wasn't adequate enough. But Forceful Cultivator, what it's doing, it costs 4 initially, but It costs 2 generic mana less if there are no land cards in hand. And when Forceful Cultivator enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield tapped. So I've never been a huge fan of whatever the 3/4 turtle is that lets you pull a forest or island out of your battlefield. And I've never been huge on that, so this seems like basically it's it has a little bit less stats on it, so that hurts a little bit, but it seems like it gives you a little bit more flexibility where if you're actually out of land cards, it only costs 2, so you might be able to double spell. But even, to be honest, I found a lot of the time, like, this deck is basically ramping up, obviously, and then its top end, you're basically using your whole turn playing, more often than not, so I did not find that too frequently this in the main deck was great, but again, since this ability is only happening on turn 3, or potentially turn 2 with Kami, you could go to get Forceful Cultivator out of it if you needed something to bridge the gap into the later game. The rest of it is just another copy of Cyclone Summer, which is typically how we're winning our games. A Jin-Gitaxias, because against some controlled decks, he can be the beatdown if they don't have many permanents out. And I ended up with Vorinclex, who did not come out in any of these games, but in one of the Simic games, the Trample and Haste was the difference maker, so he got the nod once I added Learn into this deck and had to make cuts to the other creatures. So, but, basically what we're, the whole front half of the deck is ramp up, so we get Kami down, right? If you have, we'll talk about the land situation. It was thought out and definitely emphasized to make sure that we are always able to use these abilities when we have them, so we're not just wasting cards. But if we can get Kami down turn 1, we get a second land out. Azusa's Many Journeys turn 2, we can be at 4 lands at the end of that turn, so on turn 3 we can actually hit 5 lands and natural cast something like a Renin 7. Ashaya, who I don't think is typically, hasn't, when Simic Ramp, probably in its most recent heyday in Standard 2022, and it was pretty damn competitive with Cyclone Summoner, and there wasn't the same removal and options available to people back then. Ashaya wasn't typically in those decks, but I always felt like Ashaya, because it's turning all of your non-token creatures into forests in addition to their other types. Cyclone Summoner, making it so all non-land permanents get bounced, basically leaves your entire board state out there and can often just be a lethal swing that turn if it's big enough and you just kind of been staring at each other, face-offing for a while. So one Ashaya, and frankly the ramp, like, this card did absolute work in these games, even though there's just one copy of it. I definitely wouldn't put a second one in, but Ashaya definitely earned its spot in this deck. And I should say the last Alchemy card that's in this deck, and really the reason why I wanted to splash black, I've run into so many people in the last couple days, and it makes sense, right? You see a pro event, you want to emulate what they're doing. They've probably crunched more numbers in terms of figuring out the meta than most of us have, and City Stalker Connoisseur was one of the the big staples in a lot of these decks that we were seeing in the PT. So City Stalker Connoisseur, when it's coming in, opponent discards the card in their hand with the greatest mana value among cards in their hand, and you also get a blood token. So a little bit of hand hate, and it's kind of like taking out their biggest threat far more often than not. So City Stalker is definitely a huge addition, and that blood token late game, right, when we're almost 50-50 to draw a land, City Stalker getting us that one blood token can actually make a big difference in terms of just pitching a land and getting an actual draw to get to something decent that can help us actually win a game. Other things in the deck, Ren, we know why he's here. Don't need to go into that too much. Colossal Sky Turtle. We went with one Sky Turtle and one Shigeki. I had been running more in the Simic list, but there's, the idea is kind of you have this crazy late game where you can keep going in a cycle, bouncing these back to our hands. Shigeki can get other stuff that's non-legendary, and the unfortunate thing is there's a lot of games where you just don't have time to do that. Even if you're ramping out a ton, you can get up to 6 mana, but if you get to 6 mana on turn like 4, let's say, you don't have things in your graveyard. This combo's not online until actual things have gotten played and things have gotten killed. So it's really It's not super consistent that there's a ton of value coming from there, but obviously once we get to the late game and, you know, if a Cyclone Summoner or two have died, or City Stalkers are in the graveyard, Grizzled Hunt Master, right? There's some actual value targets to bring back from the graveyard, and Sky Turtle, you can also discard it to bounce a creature, so a little bit of extra support to go along with Divide by Zero. And as far as draw goes, just a couple Eureka moments, because Deluge is certainly fine. The double blue is a little bit constraining, but this also just, you know, it's in line with getting an extra land out. You know, we're trying to ramp up and get to the big hitters. So last couple things, there's just 2 Meathook Massacres, and we know that helps us with the early aggro decks, just helping to bridge the gap into the late game. Also, you know, in terms of just things that work really well with Cyclone Summoner, we get to bounce Meathooks back to our hand, cast them again. We get to bounce City Stalkers, get another giant threat out of their hand. So very, very pleased with how those synergies have worked. And frankly, the reason there's not more Kami's, Kami actually does not play well with DFCs because it needs you to throw a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, unlike Azusa's, which is allowing you to play an additional land. Kami needs it to be an actual land in the hand, right? These are creatures in your hand, technically, so we can't throw them out. So I found occasionally Kami wasn't lining up quite as well, whereas Azusa is super flexible. The other thing, too, is Azusa can be bounced back with Cyclone Summer if you get it late. If the creature is still out, it can be bounced back. And I will say on that second phase, gaining that 3 life a couple times throughout the game can absolutely be the difference in a win or a loss. So Azusa's, it was 3 and 4. It went down to 3 and 3, and then dropped to Kami down to 2, and kept 4 Azusa's because, you know, frankly, I don't think many people find that this body is ever useful, but, you know, it's frequently in these games, you know, trading with the opponent's City Stalker Connoisseur, right? It's a body that ultimately needs to get killed. You're not really expecting much damage out of it. You know, I think maybe one time in like 30 games, just in the last day, gotten it blocked and to effect untapped the 3 lands I controlled, and it was cool and all, but it very rarely makes a difference in this deck, at least. So you're not really worrying about that. It's basically just getting an extra land in a little bit of life, and it just puts a body out in the way to stay alive a little bit longer. But for the land base, they just one of the Manlands of each color, 2 layers of the Hydra. We obviously want green as a 1-drop most often. 1 Otawara, Takenuma, Boseiju. We know why those are good. 1 basic of each color, and then sort of a blue-green slanted dual land, but still, obviously, pathways are great. Deathcap Glade is fine, and 3 Forsaken Crossroads. I'm sure you could argue that you want Forsaken Crossroads at 4, and you take out one of these. You know, deck's honestly pretty solid. Went about 8 and 1, and it brought me. Let's see where we are this morning. Yeah, so we were at 675 last night, but it took us from 99% to 675. Went about 8 and 1, and a lot of the games are quick. You know, a lot of people concede if their hand isn't optimal, and at turn 3 you're at 5-6 lands. So deck definitely slaps. I'm not saying it has no weaknesses, but it has served me pretty well. So I do hope you enjoy the games. Arjuna, I hope this makes you a little bit happy. And, yeah, peace. This looks okay. Okay, well, ramp has happened. Okay. Good start, but not really good sample size. Prestige Worldwide. What a name. Alright, this is kinda slow. Classic. I'm interested. Ramp was not acquired this game. But he's going pretty slow himself. Next. Yep. That can't happen. Everything costs 4. Just a ton of these. Okay. Meter for 3. Yeah. Portal hole the highest cost? Okay. Alright, brew. Alright, get the island. Oh. Can't believe mono white even gets played in Alchemy. Just who's not bored of it? Could you imagine hardcore training? Like you're like, okay, it's my chance to shine. I'm on the Pro Tour. Right, qualified for this big league tournament, and I will play mono white aggro. Disaster fudge. What a name. Oh, that's not good. All this discard shenaniganery. Don't do it. Don't do it. You'd think you would have flipped it first and then attacked. Okay. That's cool.
And perhaps they prepare for war.
Oh, boo. That's pretty sick.
We will help you.
Let's see. Alright, so no reason not to swing in. Definitely rope. Absolutely rope. Fuck yeah, rope. What are we gonna do with rope? Target wall can't block. Creature doesn't untap. Yeah, we're just gonna venture. I mean, the ramping so far has felt pretty decent. Like, now we can get Crossroads in turn 1. Get in for blue, get a scry. That's pretty sick. Check, please. Okay. So you are blue. And you're green. Alright, so... Okay, I'm the beatdown. I'm positive. I think I want this on blue also. Do we have lands? We'll 1,000,000% throw a Shia down next turn. If we are able to. Modified creatures give them menace. That seems like an easy way to modify stuff. Yeah, the attack was stupid. You know, I'd say it's 2020. Yep, that's a Shia. Brodama. Okay. Would I kill Kodama? I guess should I throw this guy in the way of it? That feels like a strong probably. That's the guy. Just get rid of it. Actually, the lands aren't bad. Could get the lands and then keep divide up. Grossest lands in the biz, though. Give up, Mr. Opponent. Look at this lady. Totally a lady. There you go, opponent. Boom, blow it up. Womp womp. Okay. Set. We're set. Who even knows? Okay. So we will Dream Root Takanuma Azusayu. What is this? What is this? Vehicles. Sultai. Tamir vehicles. Oh, alchemy is just all over the map. Not huge on flying. What do we do next turn? So we can grizzled away the Kami. Taking 4. I don't know what's right. We can't do this into you. I guess it's like not. No. Nope. Only 2 cards in hand. If we have a surge hacking deck, that's the highest cost. So this dude has straight mana. Until now. So Esper vehicles now. So I assume Soul Ripper's in on it. Alright, so it's it definitely has Grease Fang in it. Did he not swing in? I guess intentionally would be the question. Well, in that case, I think we're just a Shia. Right? I think so. Now, I do know he will. No hell, Grease Fang is 7/7 potentially. Okay. Alright, that's pretty cool. Is this needed though? Just not discard 2. It's your buck. Doesn't look that crazy. Okay, so a bunch comes in the air. So we actually have 2 turns to get off. Can we do it this turn? Summoner. No, we're 1 short. You give it flying. No. No, it does not get flying. Turn. It shouldn't be hard. Can that really be good? It's interesting, but it just seems like a really big cost. You're not even pulling out the 7/7, like, it doesn't... It seems like you have your combo, basically, and... Yeah, I don't know. We did it. Get Cyclone summoned. There's only one shy in there, so it's nice when it works out, right? Okay, let's get it. First other Tameo. Oh, this looks fine. Shield Maiden at 308. Gotta get that. Yawn. Oh, that's pretty sick. What are those sleeves? I want those. Those are sick. And green. And then probably black next turn. Zosa, 3 life looks nice. Moth Rider. Oh my god, these are sick. Okay. I don't have another black. It seems not ideal for you. I think we just go for Ren.
Calm the trees. From root to canopy. What? The trees are mighty.
Brutal Cathar would not be ideal. Okay. And good game.
Rich soil grows mighty forests.
What the hell was that? Thanks for the memories, but kind of training trash you playing, boy. Greek Jogurt. I mean, A for the name. Yeah, I mean, definitely not the best color for us to be playing against. Expect Ren will have a short life. Short shelf life for Mardu. Kiki Jiki, everyone's been getting freaky for. Oh, what a nice draw. Too kind to me, game. Sometimes, you know. Because I can't say all the time. Okay. Can't stay away. Okay. Nice. That's a lot of damage. A lot more than it was a second ago. Oh, blackness. Let's hope he's short of vanishing versus, but I feel like he's got to have at least one. Well, if I do this, can actually keep up divide by 0. Or even a Shigeki block. Yeah, wish I could do it work. Until she gets vanishing first. And then we're obviously sad about it. Oh, they're all lands. That's funny. Alright, Zoo's wilding out. Passes turn. Okay. I guess we'll do this then. big old Ashaya. We got the Kiki Jeek Master now. We have 7, kinda 9 mana. That's tough.
Do not underestimate. The entire forest is in art.
If he does that, you can't even copy him to get you. So I'm not really worried about Kiki Jiki. We do, however, need to dig for a Cyclone somewhere. That's really priority number 1. Oh, pitches 2 lands. What a guy. Do you get to do the ability? Oh, that's pretty filthy. Okay. 2 blockers. So that is by far the most damage. Yeah, we'll definitely take Mascot. Manlands can we get?
Power grows. Tender care.
Okay, so the entire game hinges on us getting Shigeki off. And how do we guarantee that happens? I think we crossroad. Okay, so that should be enough to not get attacked to death. Hopefully, at least. Don't you get by Shia? He has to have enough mana to cast anything. Deck don't seem that big. need all the treasure for? Are you just taking the one treasure? We just gotta hope we can't get killed. Crackle. 4 damage to the dome? How are we doing it? Oh, the answer is you're not. Well, that's good. That's pretty sweet. Okay. Can I pay 6? Oh, that's lame. Boom. Womp womp. I messed that up, but it's okay. So the Simic deck went, I think, like 6 and 9. I definitely lost some rank with it. This seems to be going a lot smoother. It's always the Is It mountain. Okay. I said corrected. See if you can. Oh, unfortunate, Mr. Opponent. We about to ramp horde. Yeah, okay. Guess we don't really care about it. Man, screwed opponent again. Not super upset, but Mr. Sky Turtle. If you didn't get a land. Well, if I don't get a land either, then maybe you're totally fine. There's your land. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mr. Turtle. I don't like that. That makes it feel like a doom scar. That's no fun. Better bring that lifelink dragon or something. I don't know that. Yeah, I think you want to do it to Hall. Methinks. Yeah, why not? Take 2 damage. Doomscar won't do it this time. Don't think much more unless you have 2 small creatures, in which case it still probably won't work versus Meduck. 1 blocker divide. I think we got you covered. You keep doing that. Ooh. Back. Screwed. It doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter. We're still playing stuff. We had so many turns where we didn't get to play stuff.